stars be with you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Energetic Principles Weekly Astrology Forecast. My name is Melissa LaFera, and today we are going to talk about the week of October 21st through October 27th. And just as a friendly reminder, this information is for the general public, so take what resonates and leave the rest because only you know you best. And of course, if you would like personalized guidance, that is what I'm here for. You can come on over to energeticprinciples.com to book a consultation, and we can look at your astrology. All right, so I'm going to do things a little bit differently this week and go ahead and just share my screen first off. And we're going to look at the chart and kind of sum it up in more of like a macro meets micro view so that maybe I can make the broadcast a little bit shorter. I know we all are living in a busy world, so time is of the essence, and my Capricorn moon is very aware of that. So the main theme, I think, for this week is this idea of drawing up our power, because the primary aspects that are happening this week are mostly in the beginning of the week, and it is this sun at the tail end of Libra squaring Pluto in Capricorn, and then moving into Scorpio. And we also have Mercury trining Saturn, and then we're going to have a last quarter moon in Leo up here. So these are kind of the main events that are going on. So it's a little less hairy than last week's full moon fever that I was talking about, but it's nonetheless powerful, right? Because here we have this Sun Pluto square. And what's important to remember here about this aspect is that this is Pluto's dying breath in Capricorn, right? So we've gone through so much since 2008. I don't know if it's right to say it that way, 2008, when we had this ingress of Pluto in Capricorn, and we watched our worlds change. We watched that area of our lives be broken down and put back into integrity, and then empowered and then depowered, and it's been a wild roller coaster with Pluto in that sign. And so the sun squaring in from Libra here is the last solar aspect that will be made. I believe, oh gosh, I hope so. I don't think it happens in Scorpio, but we're just going to pretend it is. It's a square, right? It's very activating. Before Pluto moves into Aquarius for our lifetimes, right? So squares are always activation. Squares give us energy. Squares stir something up. It triggers something. It can sometimes bring that crossroads. The sun is that solar sense of purpose and identity in our consciousness, and where we become aware or shine a spotlight on something. And so really, this is sort of that other end of the sun being in that square to Mars that we experienced last Monday before we had our full moon in Aries. So there's been a lot of Mars action, but the sun is basically transferring that Mars message to that Pluto message. And it's a big one because Mars is going to oppose Pluto here shortly, and it's going to be an elongated transit through spring of 2025. So if the sun is giving us the message, is lighting the way, is challenging us to take this awareness, it's a big moment in time, right? And there can be a lot of interpersonal themes going on because the ruler of the sun is Venus over here in Sagittarius now, and then Pluto is ruled by that Saturn in Pisces. And so Venus-Saturn energy can definitely bring up interpersonal dynamics, commitment, what we're attracted to, what we're creating for the long term. And so there can be material and relational changes going on or being caught in that, and there's not much you can do about it right now other than live through it. Sometimes squares just frustrate us in a way. But one of the things that I think is really important and potent here is this idea of empowerment. And so I'm going to be driving this message home this week is empowerment, right? Because the sun squaring off with Pluto, and I was born with this aspect in my chart, so I'm very aware of it natally, but it does give you that driving nature. Like it's got just that instinctual force where you're like, okay, I gotta do this. I gotta pull it up. I gotta muster up from the depths and just, get it done. And sometimes when you want to get it done so bad, there can be this obsessive tendency or this urge to dominate or control the life around you or other people, right? And so that's when it gets a little hairy, and you got to realize, there's some things you can control or some things you can't. But the things that you can control, you can find your power in. And so if you do get caught in ego or power struggles this week, pull it back and see how you are adding to that, where you actually do have a say, or where it's just frustrating things rather than being like, oh, well, maybe if I divert my energy in this direction and own my power over here, then wherever I'm struggling with in this situation or other people will be less irritating, I guess is the word I'm looking at it, right? Because Pluto will love to bring up those harsh shadow energies that are lurking in the background. So expect to have that material come up, but this is a wonderful aspect for conquering, right? Because this is a closing of a cycle. This is sort of that third quarter phase of the Sun and Pluto relationship. So we want to close that energy down. And of course, we're going to feel that probably most when the moon comes around to the late degrees of Cancer. On maybe Wednesday morning. That could be a hot spot there, especially when it cruises over Mars. So just be aware Wednesday morning, at least here in the United States, right? I'm over here in San Diego, California. That can be a highlight. Now, another thing that's happening, on Tuesday, but we'll look at it on Wednesday here, is that we have the sun moving into Scorpio. And so basically what happens is the sun squares Pluto, and then boom, we're in Scorpio season. And you might know why modern astrology, a lot of astrologers will consider Pluto ruling Scorpio, which I'm not necessarily of the camp, but there are definitely there's some similarities that coincide there, because Scorpio season is, our spooky season, and Pluto will definitely scare you. It doesn't have to scare you, right? I know it's the thing with Pluto is like, well, are you going to let it scare you and be disempowered by the fear? Or are you going to be like, rise to the challenge and be like, you know what? I'm going to work through all my stuff and just own it and go do it. Be honest, be in integrity. Get this done. So enter Scorpio season, which is ruled by Mars, right? And Mars has this story that I've been talking about. It's getting ready to go retrograde in early December, so it's slowing down. It's not moving as fast. It's getting to the point where it's going to halt and reassess. And so during Scorpio season, we have Mars in Cancer and Leo, both. So you can look at those areas of your chart and think about where this slowing down and repurposing of action or assertion or even, anger or irritation issues that need to be worked through. And so Scorpio is going to work through those, right? Scorpio is this place of investigation. We can look deeper into things with our solar awareness. We can assess where our emotional passion is. What are we passionate about in life? Who are we passionate about? Who are we loyal to? Are we loyal to ourselves? There's this issue of loyalties and investments that come up. And so when we're diving into these depths, this is where that healing consciousness lives, and where we become self-aware, especially through more intimate moments, whether it's with ourselves or with other people, when we're willing to go to that place that can feel vulnerable and protective. It's through that opening that we become aware, and we're able to kind of, I guess I want to say, shine a light on the bullshit, right? Whether it's our own, other people's, just a scenario in life. And when you do that, that is a turning of the energy. That's the turning of the cycle. So Scorpio does bring us this decaying vibe, but we use that decay for compost, right? We're going to be composting. Now, what I love about this start of it's so impactful because here we have this Sun Pluto square, we have this sun moving into Scorpio, but at the same time, because most of these transitions are happening on Tuesday, but at the same time, we have Mercury over here making a trine to Saturn retrograde in Pisces. So we have this water trine between our perceptive awareness, information coming in, communication, dialogue, and this more internalized long-term view. Also this fortifying force and this strengthening and dealing with blockages, dealing with structures and how we, want to architect our life and our spiritual development, right? Because we got Saturn in Pisces. So a lot of, most of us are having these spiritualized stories right now. And so Mercury trining Saturn, I love this because this gives us mental focus and discipline, especially if we're carefully processing our emotions or how we feel about something, especially in the areas of, Scorpio and Pisces in our charts. It will help us get to this place of common sense and realism, which can be valuable when we're talking about emotional content, right? Because emotions can be fantastical, or we blow them up in our imaginations because we feel a certain way. But if we're able to take that feeling content, but also that visionary content, right? When we think about imagination, and imagination can be like, where can we go? What can we envision? What do we see in our mind's eye or in our heart? And how do we take practical steps or have a game plan to realize those things, and maybe talking that out with others. And so there's this sober thinking that happens when this energy turns over, especially on Tuesday, because that Cancer moon is going to be in a grand trine with that energy as well. So we'll just be in that, I want to say the flow state. We might feel like we're in the flow state then. So I think it's going to be a helpful gateway into those healing waters of Scorpio to have that Mercury Saturn awareness. Now, really the next thing that happens this week is this last quarter moon in Leo that is on Thursday. And so here we see our lunar cycle switching to the fixed emphasis. And so where we had, the cardinal eclipses and, well, not eclipse, plural, solar eclipse, and we had the Aries full moon, and we had a Capricorn first quarter. Now we're having this closing cycle in more of the fixed areas of our chart, but you can see that these are early degrees, so there could be working through something that is fixed within us in the Leo areas of our chart, right? Because essentially that moon is last quartering near where Mars is going to retrograde. So this territory is very important to our conscious awareness and the story that's developing. So pay attention on Thursday what comes up, because Leo energy, it focuses on the self and the heart, and the need for self-love amidst change with the Scorpio dynamic coming in. So and it relights that that Sun Pluto square that I was talking about earlier. And so there may be this sort of fork in the road around self-expression and personal desires, and also like just creative adjustments, whether you're working in a creative field or just how you create from a heart space. There could be things that come up, and there could be a crisis moment too, because it's as Dane Rudyard labeled this last quarter phase, it's the crisis of consciousness, right? And it's like, oh, what do we do about this? We feel and in that pull towards that Leo energy then takes us into the waning, the darkest waning cycle of this lunar, of essentially this lunation cycle, which has been very potent, right? Because we had a solar eclipse. So we're going to be connecting with the creation side of ourselves, the self-love, the lion heart that lives within. Once again, a very powerful place. And also we might have pride issues that surface at this time that need to be healed, right? Because pride can get in the way of moving forward in so many ways, right? You know, a lot of us can carry unnecessary pride or some things that don't even look like pride because it's veiled in maybe a less overt way of exhibiting itself, right? So look at where, you know, issues of pride might come in and how you might change those so that you can move through the changes that need to happen in the way that you're beginning to empower your story. So that's kind of the meat of the week. We'll have the moon move into Leo, move through Leo for Friday, which could be fun in the going out zone. And then Saturday and Sunday, we basically are in Virgo territory, which can be good if you have things to get done and to wrap up and to, you know, take care of business. So that's essentially the energies of the week here. So let us go back and think about some ways to work with this energy, right? So two things come up, and I might be beating this message home this week. So number one, utilize your power to transform. Because the time is right. And so are you making use of the energy? Right? We don't want to miss this opportunity by not owning and using our power. So this is the time to really address areas of resistance to your personal power where you're like, you know, maybe I will play small, or, oh, I don't know if I'm ready, or, you know, because there's this a lot of times our heads will give us this misinformation, or we have these perceived limitations where we can't break that glass ceiling, and we hold ourselves back. So we really want to honor the ability to change this week and to move away from the past, right? You know, all we have is essentially now and where we're headed, even though where we're headed is not quite here yet, but we have that power of the now, you know, that sort of Eckhart Tolle reasoning, which is very powerful. And so we want to move away from the past, and that requires change. That requires empowerment. It requires digging deep within yourself and believing in yourself, right? That you're capable and you have the resources to make the changes and that you want to see in your life. And I think, and this is going to bleed into the other piece of how to work with the energy, is that the universe has our back if we take a risk and we challenge ourselves right now. Because we have more clarity, and if we have clarity and then do nothing about it, it's kind of like wasting that, you know, that push or that good, you know, just serendipitous synchronicity, I guess is what I'm looking for, to really grab a hold of this new empowering perspective that we have and really focus and commit on the vision that we see for ourselves in the future. And so this brings me to the other way to work with the energy, or in addition, is to really open to help from the spirit world. Because a lot of times, you know, maybe not so many people that are watching these, you know, videos, but a lot of us might not see it, you know, we'll believe it when we see it. And so we have to challenge ourselves, because if we're having intuitive hunches that are coming up, but then we believe that like the magical outcome is unrealistic, then we're not really setting ourselves up to be helped by something larger than us. And this especially comes when we're thinking about financial issues or embodiment issues or health issues, you know. So, or if we're staying in situations that don't really support us, and really honor our value, we have to trust that we'll be supported if we move away from those situations or those lines of thinking or those ways of being, whether they're our thoughts, our actions, or relationships that we're in. So open up to the help that's around you that you can't see, because, and I think that's a very, maybe Saturn in Pisces energy to play into, because, you know, there's spirit has authority. So, and ask for a little help. I'm just going to throw that in there too. It's like, Sometimes we're not open to help because we don't ask for it. And it is amazing if you just like have a moment yourself, you're like, oh God, please help me with this. You know, whatever, you know, term you want to use. Please, I need some help. Can you help me with this? And then just leave it out there and you'll be surprised because we can't really get help unless we ask for it. So, all right. Well, let us go ahead and pull an animal to wrap up this week's broadcast. See who wants to come up. I'm excited for this week. I think it's gonna be a good one. I think it's gonna bring up some stuff. It's gonna make some shifts, but it's gonna also give us what we need to move this thing along. All right, so who comes up? Oh my goodness, just the message I was just talking about. So we have the scarab beetle. And so this is the idea that magic works through you. Magic works through you. You are the conduit. You are, you know, like the universe can drum up all the magic, but if you can sit with that magic, but if you're not doing anything, or you're not believing in it, or you're not like putting that wavelength into motion, then how's it going to realize itself? So know that you're sort of the key. You know, you're your own special talisman that is going to make these changes and these the things that you believe can't really happen because you're a vessel. And so use your vessel accordingly to work the magic this week. This feels like a really good omen to me. So I'm going to take it and run with it. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this forecast here. Once again, if you want to work with me personally and get more in depth about your personal astrology, come on over to energeticprinciples.com where you can book a consultation, or you can gift a consultation as well. You can also sign up for my monthly newsletter, The Heavenly Wind, and get information when I have upcoming learning opportunities that come up, because it's something I really want to start focusing on, is teaching more and spreading more information about astrology and tarot and other such things. So if you're looking for learning opportunities, I definitely recommend signing up for my mailing list as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all the things that keep us connected, and get the dialogue rolling, because I'd love to know where you're at this week and what's going on for you. And if you're feeling that Plutonian vibe or you're in your space of empowerment, I'd love to hear it. And same if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that this streams, leave a review if you can, and spread the good word to friends, family, and beyond. All right, everyone. Well, I hope that you are feeling your magic. I hope that you're feeling your power and you're ready to just go do this thing. I wish you the best of luck out there. And as always, may the stars be with you.